And this is DateLine. Headline breaking news inside of a snark sandwich. DateLine.
Georgia, Georgia.
The former peanut farmer from Plains, Georgia, Jimmy Carter, gave an interview this last week where he finally figured out why he lost the 1980 presidential election. A shocking revelation it was, because it wasn't what you think it was.
Hard to comprehend, but that's true.
It wasn't that his policies had ushered in the worst energy crisis in the history of the United States. It wasn't the fact that people had to wait in long lines at the service station because of rationing of gasoline, lines that sometimes lasted for miles and miles.
Wow.
It wasn't that he came on national TV and asked all of America to turn their thermostats down and to wear sweaters to conserve energy.
Oh my God.
It wasn't that the Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran played him like a little
Biatch.
when he took our embassy and 52 American diplomats and citizens and held them hostage for 444 days until a real man entered the Oval Office. Or that Fidel Castro also played him like a little
Biatch.
when he emptied all of the prisons of Cuba, told Carter that they were all political refugees, and sent them on their way in little boats to Miami to continue their criminal activity on U.S. shores.
Oh my God!
Get to the point.
Okay, I'll get to the point.
Okay.
Let's have President Carter tell you, in his own words, why he lost the 1980 presidential election.
Well, I could have been reelected if I had taken military action against Iran, but it's shown that I was manly and so forth.
Okay.
Shown that I was manly.
Say what?
He said it, not me.
Okay.
To drive this point home, he came out against the only president in modern-day history who was as much of a sissy pants as he was.
Oh, no, come on now, baby.
He came out against the current occupant of the White House as weak on foreign policy.
Former President Jimmy Carter said President Barack Obama waited too long to go after ISIS and criticized what he described as the president's changing foreign policy. Carter told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram in an interview published Tuesday, "First of all, we waited too long. We let the Islamic State build up its money, capability, and strength in weapons while it was still in Syria. Then when ISIS moved into Iraq, the Sunni Muslims didn't object to their being there, and about a third of the territory in Iraq was abandoned."
Now, we must agree with Jimmy how weak Obama is on the world stage, but I don't think we are the right people to judge the manliness of President Carter's term in office. We need real men that can relate to Carter. I wonder how the guys from In Living Color, Blaine and Antoine, think about the manliness of Carter's presidency.
I think this deserves the new and improved 2 snaps, a twist, and a kiss.
Okay, I guess he's right. DateLine. Fantasy Island. As if this administration hadn't tried to bamboozle the American people enough with hope and change, shovel-ready jobs, you can keep your health plan and doctor, Al-Qaeda is on the run, etc., etc., etc.
It's a disturbing pattern.
The latest in the Smoke and Mirrors campaign is on the ISIS and Ebola front. As usual, President Obama likes to look like he's doing something about a problem while not actually affecting the improvement of said problems. While America's outrage was at a boiling point after the barbaric beheadings of James Foley and Sokolov and the others, and they demanded that ISIS be stopped, Obama came out with his canned, faux outrage and then set out to bomb such inconsequential targets that even some in the Air Force were questioning the reasoning behind the few and far between strikes. May I suggest that they are very effective and have achieved their goal?
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Stay with me here. President Obama's goal was to look like he was doing something about ISIS, and also wanted to bump up his approval rating before the midterm election as they were dipping into the 30s once again. So he has been very successful in his goals of bombing ISIS. It just won't help America stem the rise of ISIS.
Talk about chicken.
Just the other day, Air Obama bombed 14 ISIS targets. That's 14 in one whole day.
Mr. President, this is ridiculous. There is no plan.
Or should I say they bombed aspirin factories. So think back when Reagan bombed the snot out of Libya, or when Bush bombed the bejesus out of Saddam's military targets. Once the most powerful and feared nation on the world, we have gone from shock and awe to shockingly awful.
That's the fact, Jack! That's a fact, Jack!
DateLine.
Chicago.
The Windy City's mayor, Rahm Emanuel, is looking at a tough fight for re-election this fall. Emanuel was President Obama's chief of staff after inauguration in 2009, but was smart enough to see the impending disaster of what this administration was to become, and was the first to bail out of the Barack Hindenburg Obama presidency. Geronimo! But he still has been poisoned by the Obama curse. In a recent poll, Mayor Emanuel is more unpopular than Chicago's rush hour traffic. That's right, Chicagoans like rush hour traffic more than their mayor, Rahm Emanuel.
Wow.
In the same poll, in the deepest of blue cities in the country, hometown of the president, a city encompassed by Cook County that was stupid enough to give Barack Obama 1,488,537 votes in 2012. They actually look more unfavorably on their mayor than Fox News. Maybe the mayor has such high unfavorable ratings because of the skyrocketing inner-city shootings and a murder rate that keeps rising. Maybe he's so unpopular because that, like the entire state of Illinois, there are 2 times more food stamp recipients created than new jobs created.
Wow. Wow.
But hey, there's one positive that the disastrous mayor can take from this damning poll. He's more popular than the dreaded Chicago Bears rival, the Green Bay Packers. So what do you think about that, Mr. President?
Dun 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 dun.
That's retarded, sir.
DateLine. Flashback. This from our August 13th show. DateLine. Harlem. 84-year-old Democrat Congressman Charlie Rangel, that has represented Harlem for over 20 years, how's that working out for you, is showing that, as usual, liberals have no shame.
Shame on you.
Back in 2009, he was in hot water with the Congressional Ethics Committee and was charged with ethics violations. One of the 13 counts that he was charged with was for tax evasion.
Okay.
At the time, he was in charge of writing the United States Tax Code in the House as chairman of the Ways and Means Committee.
Say what?
How's that for irony? The ethically challenged Democrats have Rangel as their role model. He was also shaking down companies in front of his own Ways and Means Committee for donations. He also did not clear income from his beachside villa rental in the Dominican Republic. He also took free trips to the Caribbean,
champagne wishes and caviar dreams,
funded by corporations with interest before Congress and his Ways and Means Committee. He also failed to disclose properties he owned in Florida worth over $500,000, and he created tax loopholes for foreign companies that donated over $1 million to the City College of New York school named after himself.
It's incredible.
After all these crimes were brought to light back in 2010, he finally stepped down from his chairmanship of the Ways and Means Committee only after Pelosi decided that the bad press from the crook wrangle might hurt the Democrats in the upcoming midterm elections. But right after the bipartisan, 4-member investigative subcommittee of the House Ethics Committee decided that Rangel violated a range of congressional ethics laws, and the House then censured him, Pelosi threw Rangel a fundraiser.
Oh my God.
It's true. And now Rangel is suing the House for the censure.
Say what?
Hey, producer, where's our regular say what guy? What? On a coffee break? Figures. As I was saying, Rangel is suing the House for the censure, and he wants all the crimes he committed to just disappear. Typical Democrat. Commits crimes, gets rich beyond belief, and then blames the people who caught him.
Talk about chicken shit.
DateLine. Capitol Hill. Us here at the Ascend Conservatism Show have been pounding the airways for years, exposing Harry Reid's colossal perversion of the legislative branch of the United States government. The American people are finally waking up to the slimiest political hack the Senate has ever seen. Thank God.
Amen, brother. Amen.
In a recent Gallup poll, Reid's approval rating has sunk to an all-time low of 21%. This hopefully can be attributed to us here at WAAR Media, talk radio legends like Rush Limbaugh, Fox News, and sites like Drudge, Breitbart, and News Ninja. But the tipping point for the middle-of-the-road Americans must have been when the liberal MSNBC threw scummy Harry Reid under the bus.
It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. And my opinion is, and I've said it clearly, that Harry Reid is... what he's doing is beneath the dignity of the office that he's holding. He's lying about these people. He's calling them un-American. Right. It's McCarthyism. He's lying about them. He's putting lies on his website that the White House itself discredited 40 years ago. Harry Reid still has on his website today that the Koch brothers may not pay corporate taxes. Now, that was a lie that was debunked 4 years ago, and he is still pushing that lie today.
But what is still disheartening is that 34% of Americans have no opinion of Harry Reid or don't even know who he is.
Wow.
They don't even know the man who has perpetrated a bloodless coup on D.C. over the last 7.5 years by creating an absolute veto that not even the President of the United States has.
It has gotten out of hand.
But you can't blame everything on the low-information voter. The mainstream media is to fault on this one.
Shame on you.
Reid has been running and ruining the U.S. Senate for 7.5 years, but only 22% don't have an opinion or don't even know who Speaker of the House John Boehner is.
What?
He has been Speaker for only 3.5 years, not even half the time Reid has run the Senate, but he's more well-known than Harry Reid.
Wow.
As usual, the liberally biased media has done a hack job on the Republican leader in D.C., but has tried to shield the Democrat from any justly deserved criticism by trying to make it look like Harry Reid doesn't even exist.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
And consider, no matter what Boehner and the Republicans do in the House, it has always been slimy political partisan hack Harry Reid who has had the final word on all legislation coming out of the Congress since January 3rd, 2007.
Hard to comprehend, but that's true.
Hopefully, in 22 days from now, the American voter will send Harry Reid exactly where he belongs. DateLine. Fantasy Island. Part 2. With Ebola reaching the shores of America, we have once again this administration pretending like it is doing something while not actually helping the dire situation. Instead of banning all flights from the affected region like sane countries have done, England, France, and many others, The con is on.
It's a disturbing pattern.
We will allow anyone from Africa that has been on ground zero of the Ebola outbreak to fly freely into this country, but we will take their temperature to see if they have a fever. Fever? They will also check to see if they look ill. Now, the low information voters amongst us will see this and say, hey, Obama's on top of the situation.
Right.
Except for the fact that the Ebola virus has a 21-day incubation period.
Say what?
Yep. Someone could fly into JFK International Airport from Liberia and be checked out by the Obamacare doctors and not show any symptoms of being infected by Ebola. But they might actually have the disease and be released into New York City to infect thousands.
Oh my God!
I mean, I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of this smoke and mirrors administration and its purely political optic response to serious crises facing this country. It's time this soundstage presidency is exposed for what it really is.
President Obama is the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people.
That's the fact, Jack! That's a fact, Jack!
DateLine. Missing Persons Report. There is a bulletin that just came out last week that we have a very important person in the United States government that is MIA.
That's terrible.
A former director of the CIA who also happens to be a former Secretary of Defense and a former Chief of Staff to President Bill Clinton has made this missing persons claim. He claims that the biggest power broker in Washington, D.C. has lost his way.
Well, which way did it go? Which way did it go, George?
It's not George. It's Leon. Leon Panetta. Panetta, in what can be described as a stunning rebuke of his former boss, and questions his whereabouts.
Well, which way did it go? Which way did it go, George?
No, I'm not George either.
Okay.
While the career Washington insider Panetta claims that President Obama has lost his way, some on the right, including me, say that Obama lost his way the day he headed for the White House from his inaugurational address in 2009.
Absolutely, positively, unequivocally.
A former community organizer that never organized anything. A former lawyer with nary a case that he actually tried to his name. A naive interloper that should have never been shown directions to the Oval Office in the first place. Not only was he ill-equipped to handle the tough job of being president, while there, he skipped 60% of his intelligence briefings during the rise of the terrorist state of ISIS.
Oh my God!
Whether he lost his way or never had a way to begin with, he doesn't even care about the security of America. So if he is lost, will someone please change all the locks on all the doors at the White House?
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
DateLine. Bitch Slap of the Week. This is what all of you have been waiting for. This is where the liberal left get what they deserve when they cross the line.
Come on, what's the matter with you?
This week's recipient, the Democrat running for governor of Texas, Wendy Davis.
Boo! You suck!
And as usual, we will have our female producer, Raina Malama, do the actual bitch slapping, as we do not want to help the Democrats in perpetrating their pathetically phony war on women.
Absolutely a terrible decision that has so many implications, even beyond the core issues of women's rights.
So, Wendy Davis.
Come on, what's the matter with you?
Wow, that was quick. Wendy Davis, who became famous for her plethora of legislative victories in the Texas legislature.
Okay.
Just kidding. Davis's only claim to fame is that she tried for 10 hours to filibuster the abortion legislation that passed anyway, and that was actually an improvement on women's health in the Lone Star State.
That's the fact, Jack!
For this rabid proponent of abortion on demand,
Come on, what's the matter with you?
Davis ignored the facts of the legislation that actually made it safer for legal abortions because clinics would be mandated to be close enough to real hospitals to save the lives of the women if there was a complication in the procedure that the clinic could not handle that would actually protect more women's health and in some cases save their lives. So Davis, who was running behind the Republican candidate, Greg Abbott, by more than 10 points in the Real Clear Politics average, is getting desperate. Not only does she see her 15 minutes of fame ending, but she has not even a snowball's chance in Al Gore's shorts of a chance at winning.
Ew.
Sorry about that disgusting visual.
Come on, what's the matter with you?
I deserve that.
Right.
Wendy Davis is so desperate that she made a political attack ad against Abbott, who is a wheelchair-bound paraplegic, showing an empty wheelchair.
Shame, shame, shame on you.
Talk about a scum-of-the-earth politician. No matter how desperate you may be in a political campaign, common decency dictates you do not attack a handicapped person's handicap.
Come on.
Now, while most of us can't wait for November 4th, as Republicans need to take back the United States Senate back from the disastrous Democrat rule of the past 7.5 years, I personally cannot wait for Wendy to slither back to her district.
Thank God.
Because, and I say this with all due respect, Ms. Davis,
you disgust me.
And that's DateLine for this day, October 13th, 2014.